Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Wars fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time traveling toy collector. And in this video, we're looking at another figure I was able to pick up as part of my return to Tatooine journey. As long-time members of the channel and viewers of my videos will be aware, I managed to back the Haslab Cantina with Hasbro. And realised upon doing so that one of the things I'm going to need to do is populate the cantina, because I'm going to get it as this wonderful display base, and my figures for that are very limited. Now, I appreciate that we do get some figures along with the Haslab, and I'm very excited to get those because they're all figures, with the exception of Greedo, that I've never had before, although I did have the original Greedo, but not in the sort of vintage collection deco. So I realised that very quickly that I'm going to have to start going out to the market to try and find some Star Wars vintage collection so that they tally with the Cantina patrons, if you like. And I've already managed to snag Snaggletooth, as some of you may have seen, and the next one I've managed to capture is this one, which is Figrin Dan, who's busy there playing his pipe, and this is lovely. And I'm going to tell you now, I managed to pick this up for under a tenner, so in UK money, so £10, less than £10. I managed to get this on eBay, which just goes to show that I thought I'd start seeing a massive hike in figures that would then be populating the cantina, but I was pleasantly surprised. I thought, oh, okay. Now that might say something about the popularity of this figure, and to be honest, he looks about as surprised as I did when I found him for the price it was. But yeah, he's intact. He's not been opened, because I did check just in case he'd been resealed, but no, he's not been opened. So I don't know whether somebody had an absolute ton of these and they just wanted to shift them. Fair enough. I don't mind the reasoning. I'm just glad that I was able to pick him up. But I am, of course, still on the hunt. So if you guys watching this are in a position to suggest to me in the comments other figures in the vintage collection range that I need to seek out, I do have a couple on pre-order, as they're being released in the near future. But see, looking at this backdrop here for Figrin Dan, that's how I'm pronouncing it, there's no other characters in this particular wave that would necessarily want to be going into the cantina, so he's a bit of it on his own there. But I am keen to track down some more, so if anyone can suggest characters out in the wild for me to go and look for, ideally ones that aren't costing an absolute arm and a leg, then that would be terrific. But I really like, again, this is not a character that I recall having or seeing in the very original range, so it must be it must have bypassed the original collection. Whether or not it'll turn up in the retro collection at some point, which is currently my sort of go-to, or has been my go-to collection for Star Wars figures since I entered the fray of collecting Star Wars figures, then who knows, maybe that will be the case. But certainly at the moment it's not, and I'm very, very excited. I'm very excited to be almost childishly giddy, I would say, at the idea and the prospect of being able to go back and start collecting Star Wars figures. For the longest time I've put off being sucked back into the world of collecting Star Wars figures, because I know what an absolute rabbit hole it is. But I think having made some sort of psychological decisions that I'm going to collect the retro collection box sets. So that's the parameters of my retro collection collecting, more or less. Always got to factor in the more or less just in case. But I'm also now looking at the vintage collection, but with a view to populating the streets of not the streets of Tatooine. I'm debating whether or not to get that, and I've seen some reviews, and one minute I'm looking at it and thinking that looks really cool, and the next minute I'm looking at it and thinking, is it cool enough? Do I really want to have even more figures I mean, the answer to that is always yes. But it is, I've got to be pragmatic. There's costs involved, there's space involved, and if there's not space involved, there's storage involved. So I can't be too cavalier in my purchasing, he says. But yeah, I am loving this concept of going out and trying to find other figures to support me on my return to Tatooine journey. But I'm also really dependent on you folks out there. So if you can think of any figures that you think I might be able to get hold of, by all means, let me know in the comments. My must-haves to populate the cantina. And I'll tell you, because I did actually start looking, obviously, as you would expect, online and on secondary market sites, but I had to stop because I started seeing lots of characters that weren't cantina orientated, that I was going, oh, I could get that. I know it's outside the parameters of what I want, but I loved having my Neon Num. I want another Neon Num, and if I'm getting him, I might want this and I might want that. And so all I was doing was going, oh my goodness me, my shopping list is just getting bigger and bigger, and it's more ridiculous by the second. So folks, this is a plea, so an intervention to stop me going on and spending more money than I'll ever have on things that sit outside the parameters I set myself, because my self-control is that appalling. I'm looking to yourselves to let me have a list of the key figures you think I should be looking for to populate my Haslab Cantina when it arrives later this year, supposedly October 2025, I think is when it's due. So I'm very much forward to hearing what your thoughts are down in the comments below. If you're up for this journey on this return to Tatooine, and indeed my return to Star Wars collecting figures, do please like the video. Do please drop a completely obligation and cost-free subscription to the channel, so that you can help me defeat the dark side of the algorithm and really boost the channel, and of course boost my ego as I get towards my next key milestone, which of course is what I've, on a personal level, am far more interested in being able to achieve. So if you're watching this and not yet subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you can, and do let me know that you have in the comments, and I'll happily come on and thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing so. In the meantime, thank you for sticking with me for the last 8 or so minutes. I've been the Triple TC, that is the Time Travelling Toy Collector. You've been a wonderful audience, and this has been the very musical Figrin Dan from the Star Wars Vintage Collection by Hasbro, disguised as Kenner. And I'm looking very much forward to seeing you in other videos, past, present, and of course future. It just remains for me to say that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.